Hi, I'm Scarlett. Today, I'm going to tell you my story. But before I continue, please share, and subscribe to hear more stories like this. It all started 3 years ago when my uncle passed away. He was a successful businessman with no children of his own, and we'd always been close. To everyone's surprise, especially my in-laws, he left me his entire estate, about $7 million and a beautiful lakeside property. My husband, James, seemed happy for me. But his parents? That was a different story. When we told them about the inheritance over dinner, my mother-in-law, Martha, nearly choked on her wine. "7 million? Are you serious?" she asked, her fork frozen midway to her mouth. "And the lakeside property in Vermont," James added proudly. My father-in-law, Richard, cleared his throat. "That's quite unexpected. What are you planning to do with all that money, Scarlett?" "I haven't decided yet. Some investments, maybe some renovations on our house, and I'd like to start a small business," I replied. Martha's smile didn't reach her eyes. "You should let James help manage it. Our family has always been good with finances. I appreciate the offer, but I want to handle this myself. My uncle trusted me with his legacy." "But dear," Martha leaned forward, "managing such a large sum requires experience. You've never even invested in stocks before." "I'll learn," I said firmly, "and I'll hire professionals I trust." I didn't miss the look that passed between them. At the time, I thought it was just disappointment. I had no idea how dangerous their greed would become. The next few weeks were filled with casual visits from my in-laws. They'd drop by unannounced, always bringing up the inheritance. "Have you considered putting some of that money into our family business?" Richard suggested one evening. "No, I haven't," I replied. "What exactly does your business need?" "Well, we've been looking to expand," he said vaguely. "A few million would really help us reach new markets." "A few million?" I laughed nervously. "That's a lot of money to just hand over." James put his hand on mine. "Dad, Scarlett and I haven't discussed any plans for the money yet." "There's nothing to discuss," I said firmly. "I'm not investing millions in a business I know nothing about." Martha's eyes narrowed. "We're family, Scarlett. Family supports each other." "Family also respects boundaries," I countered. After they left, James seemed upset. "They're just trying to help." "No, they're trying to get my money," I said. "And I don't appreciate being pressured." "You're being paranoid," he replied. "They've always been generous with us. That was our first fight about the inheritance, but definitely not the last." Things got weirder when I started finding pamphlets about mental health around our house, specifically about anxiety, paranoia, and delusional disorders. "James, why are these here?" I asked, showing him the brochures. He looked confused. "Mom must have left them. She volunteers at a mental health clinic, remember?" "These were in my desk drawer," I pointed out. "Why would she put them there?" "Maybe she thought you'd find them useful. You have been under a lot of stress lately. Because your parents won't stop hounding me about the inheritance." He sighed. "You're overreacting. Maybe you should talk to someone. Mom recommended a doctor." "I don't need a doctor. I need your parents to back off." The gaslighting got worse. James started claiming I was forgetting conversations we'd had. My in-laws told friends I was becoming unstable since receiving the money. I'd overhear them talking in hushed tones. "She's not well," or "We're concerned about her mental state." One night after dinner with them, Richard cornered me in the kitchen. "Scarlett, we're worried about you," he said, his voice dripping with fake concern. "I'm fine, Richard. Never better. The money has changed you. You're becoming secretive, paranoid. James tells us you're having memory problems." "That's not true," I snapped. "James is the one gaslighting me." "See? That's exactly what I'm talking about. These accusations, this hostility." He shook his head sadly. "Martha and I have been discussing treatment options." "Treatment? I don't need treatment." "It's nothing to be ashamed of. Mental health issues can affect anyone. I am the old Scarlett. The only thing that's changed is that I now have money that you want. My best friend Elena noticed something was wrong during our coffee date. You look exhausted, she said. Everything okay? I think James and his parents are trying to make me look crazy, I confided. Elena frowned. That's a serious accusation. Why would they do that? The money. They've been pushing me to invest in their business, but I refused. Have you considered getting legal advice? Maybe putting the inheritance in a trust? Actually, I have an appointment with a lawyer tomorrow. I haven't told James. Good. And maybe stay with me for a few days? Get some space? I might take you up on that. I never made it to the lawyer's appointment. That night, I woke up to strangers in our bedroom. What's happening? I screamed as two men approached the bed. Miss Scarlett Wilson? One asked calmly. We're here to transport you to Pinewood Psychiatric Facility. We have an involuntary commitment order. What? No, there must be a mistake. James stood in the doorway, his expression pained. It's for your own good, Scarlett. You haven't been yourself. James, please, tell them this is wrong. I begged as the men helped me up. You signed the papers, Scarlett. You agreed to evaluation. I never signed anything. Martha appeared behind James. She doesn't remember, poor thing. The delusions have gotten worse. I was sedated in the ambulance. When I woke up, I was in a sterile room at Pinewood. 3 days of confusion followed. I repeatedly told the staff there had been a mistake, that I never signed commitment papers. Most dismissed me. After all, delusional patients often deny their illness. My daily life at Pinewood was structured around medication schedules and therapy sessions. Each morning, a nurse would come by with pills I didn't need for an illness I didn't have. I'd ask questions about my rights, about contacting someone outside, and they'd just smile and note my paranoia in their charts. When can I make a phone call? I asked one nurse. Your husband has restricted communications for now, she replied. Doctor's orders. He thinks outside contact might agitate you. He's not a doctor, I said through gritted teeth, and I need to speak to someone. This is illegal detention. She just patted my hand. That's the paranoia talking, dear. Take your meds and things will seem clearer. But one doctor, Dr. Simmons, actually listened. Miss Wilson, I've reviewed your intake documents, she said during our session. Then you know I shouldn't be here, I insisted. I never signed anything. She studied me carefully. The signature on the voluntary commitment form doesn't match the one on your driver's license. My heart raced. Because I didn't sign it. My in-laws forged my signature. That's a serious accusation, she said. Why would they do that? My inheritance. They want control of it. Dr. Simmons nodded slowly. I've requested a formal evaluation of the signatures. In the meantime, I'd like to continue our sessions. If what you're saying is true, you'll need support. Thank you, I whispered. You're the first person who's believed me. I haven't decided what to believe yet, she corrected. But something about your case feels wrong. During my time at Pinewood, I discovered I wasn't alone. In group therapy, I met Sarah, who'd been committed by her business partner right before a major company decision. And Marcus, whose children had him committed after he remarried, fearing their inheritance would go to his new wife. It happens more than people realize, Sarah told me quietly. The system is easily manipulated by those who know how. A week later, Dr. Simmons came to my room with news. The handwriting analysis came back. The signature was indeed forged. What happens now? We're discharging you immediately. And Scarlett, you should know your husband and in-laws have been inquiring about having you declared mentally incompetent to manage your finances. I felt sick. They really were trying to take everything. I've documented everything, she assured me. And I'd recommend contacting law enforcement and a lawyer as soon as possible. I can't go home, I realized. Is there somewhere safe you can stay? Yes, my friend Elena. When I walked out of Pinewood, Elena was waiting for me. I'd managed to call her from Dr. Simmons' office. You look awful, she said, hugging me. Thanks, I laughed weakly. I've got the guest room ready. And I called my cousin Michael. He's a lawyer. Michael arrived at Elena's that evening. "This is one of the most disturbing cases I've heard," he said after I explained everything. "Forging documents for involuntary commitment is a serious crime." "What should I do?" "First, we need to secure your assets. I've already drafted papers to freeze any access to your accounts. Then we file criminal charges for forgery, false imprisonment, and attempted financial exploitation." "Will that be enough?" Elena asked. Michael grimaced. "Criminal cases take time, and the Wilson family has connections. We need to collect more evidence." "Like what?" "Text messages, emails, witnesses, anything showing their plan." I thought for a moment. Martha's assistant at their company, Denise. She always seemed uncomfortable around me, like she knew something. Denise agreed to meet me at a cafe far from the Wilson family business. "I can't stay long," she said nervously. "If they find out I'm talking to you—" "Please, Denise. You know something, don't you?" She hesitated. "I overheard conversations. Mr. and Mrs. Wilson discussing how to get control of your inheritance. They mentioned having you temporarily out of the picture while they accessed your accounts. Would you be willing to provide a statement? I could lose my job. You could also be considered an accessory if you knew about a crime and said nothing," I pointed out. She paled. "I'll tell you what I know." "Did they discuss forging my signature?" "Yes. Mrs. Wilson practiced your signature for days. And James, he was hesitant at first, but Mr. Wilson reminded him of his gambling debts. Said this was his chance to wipe the slate clean." "Gambling debts? James doesn't gamble. He's been hiding it for years. He owes nearly $300,000. With Denise's statement and Dr. Simmons' documentation, we had enough to move forward. But I wanted more than legal justice. I wanted them to feel the same helplessness they'd forced on me. We planned carefully. I invited James and his parents to a meeting at a restaurant, claiming I wanted to work things out. What they didn't know was that several business associates, friends, and even Martha's sister would be at nearby tables, courtesy of Elena's arrangements. When they arrived, I was already seated. "Scarlett," James said cautiously, "you look well." "No thanks to you," I replied. "Please, sit down." Martha smiled tightly. "We've been so worried. When you left the facility without telling us—" "The facility I was in because you forged my signature? That facility?" Richard glanced around nervously. "Let's not make a scene." "Oh, I think a scene is exactly what this deserves," I said, raising my voice slightly. "You had me committed to steal my inheritance." "That's ridiculous," Martha hissed. "You were unwell." "Was I? Or were you just desperate for my money?" James reached for my hand. I pulled away. "Scarlett, we were trying to help you," he pleaded. "By declaring me incompetent? By discussing how to transfer my funds while I was locked up?" Their faces drained of color. "You have no proof," Richard said. I smiled. "Actually, I do. Denise provided a very detailed statement about the conversation she overheard. Dr. Simmons documented the forged signature, and I have the paperwork showing attempts to access my accounts while I was committed." Martha's sister at the next table turned around, her expression horrified. "Is this true, Martha?" her sister asked. "Of course not. Scarlett is confused." "I'm not confused. I'm furious. And you're going to face consequences." I stood up. "I've filed criminal charges against all of you. The police will probably be at your house tonight." "Scarlett, please," James begged, grabbing my wrist. "I did it because I love you. Or because of your gambling debts. Denise told me everything, James." His face went ashen. I can explain." "Save it for your lawyer," I spat. "You'll need a good one." The fallout was swift and satisfying. James and his parents were arrested that night. Martha and Richard's prominent social standing crumbled as news spread. Their business partners pulled out of deals, fearing association with such scandal. The criminal case proceeded slowly, but the damage to their reputation was immediate and irreversible. Martha's charity board positions, her pride and joy, were revoked. Richard's business faltered without his partner's support. In the end, Martha and Richard were convicted of multiple felonies. James took a plea deal for lesser charges. The judge ordered significant restitution payments on top of their legal penalties. I filed for divorce immediately. With my inheritance secure and their reputations destroyed, I felt justice had been served. But the best revenge? Living well. I renovated the lakeside property my uncle left me, started a mental health advocacy organization that helps victims of wrongful commitment, and I found happiness again, surrounded by people who genuinely care about me. Last week, I heard Martha and Richard lost their house. Their legal fees and restitution payments had bankrupted them. James is working a minimum wage job, unable to find better employment with his criminal record. I don't feel sorry for them. They made their choices. As for me, I'm finally free, not just from their schemes, but from the fear and betrayal that followed. My advocacy work has connected me with others who experienced similar trauma, and together we're making sure this doesn't happen to anyone else. When Elena asked if I ever regret my methods of revenge, I told her, justice isn't about forgiveness. It's about consequences. They tried to take my freedom and my future. Instead, they lost their own. So here's my question for you. If someone you trusted completely betrayed you for money,